The boardroom went silent when my father stood up. "You'll never be CEO," he said it slowly, loud enough for all 12 people to hear. "Not of this company. Not of anything." I didn't flinch. I watched the auditor flip to page 47 of the governance binder. My father kept going. "You don't have the vision. You never did. That's why Connor is taking over." I could have defended myself. I could have walked out. But I stayed quiet. Because the auditor's finger had just landed on Section 11. The clause I wrote 5 years ago. The one he signed without reading. He had no idea what was coming. Did I stay silent or speak up? Before I answer that, drop your country and the time where you are right now. I'm curious who's watching this unfold. And hit subscribe. You're going to want to see how this ends. Let me take you back to where this really started. I grew up watching my father build the company from nothing. Revenue charts on the kitchen table. Conference calls during dinner. He loved the work, but he never saw me as part of it. "You're not ready," he'd say. Every time I asked to help, "My older brother Connor?" Different story. Golden child. Natural leader. Dad's words, not mine. Connor got the praise. I got the performance reviews, so I stopped asking. I earned my MBA at night while working entry-level operations during the day. Then I picked up a corporate law certificate. Nights and weekends. 2 years. No one handed me anything. By the time I was 28, I'd worked in shipping, compliance, and strategy. Every promotion I earned. Then Helen called me into her office. Helen was our general counsel. Sharp, fair, 30 years at the company. She was retiring. "I need you to rewrite the governance documents," she said. "Why me?" "Because you're the only one who reads the fine print." She leaned back in her chair. "Put guardrails in, kid. Founders forget they're mortal." I spent 3 months on that project. Reviewed every clause, every term, every safeguard. Section 11 was the succession plan. I made it objective, measurable, ironclad, minimum 7 years of operational experience across 3 departments. Independent third-party vetting. Board approval by majority vote. My father signed the amended bylaws in May of 2018. He didn't read them. I saved everything. Email threads, redlined PDFs, board minutes. All backed up. All tagged. All encrypted. Helen's last piece of advice? Draft every word like you'll need it in court. 3 years later, my father forgot I wrote the rules. That was his first mistake. The morning of the annual shareholder meeting, my father called me into his office. No greeting. No preamble. "I'm announcing Connor as CEO-elect today." I blinked. Connor had been in sales for 5 years. That was it. No operations. No compliance. No fiduciary experience. My father slid a folder across his desk. "You'll be VP of Strategy. Equity bump." Good offer. I opened the folder. The title looked nice on paper. The equity was modest. He called it generosity. "Connor's ready," he said. "You're not." I kept my voice level. "The bylaws require board review of executive qualifications." "Has Connor been vetted?" He laughed. "I am the board. I built this company. You're lucky to have a seat at all." Wrong. The board was 5 independent directors plus him. I helped recruit 3 of them. But I didn't say that. Not yet. "Connor has the vision," my father continued. "You've always been jealous of that." I wasn't jealous. I was watching him ignore his own governance rules. He stood up. "Take the VP slot or take a buyout. You have until end of day." He walked to the door. "This is a courtesy, not a negotiation." The door closed. I opened my laptop. One search in the governance folder. Section 11. Succession criteria. The screen glowed. I read every word I'd written 5 years earlier. Then I checked the shareholder meeting agenda. 4 hours until it started. I had time. 2 hours later, my computer access died. I tried logging into the executive server. Access denied. Contact IT admin. I called IT. "Orders from the top," the admin said. "Pending reorganization." 10 minutes after that, an email from Connor popped up. "Excited to work together in your new role." Smiley face emoji. I walked back to my office. Except it wasn't my office anymore. My nameplate was gone. Dad's assistant was standing in the hallway with a box. Your new space is on floor 2, she said. Sorry, floor 2. Smaller office. No window, no door plaque. I sat down in the new chair and stared at the blank wall. At lunch, I passed 2 board members in the hallway. Dad's golf buddies. They looked away. I tried calling the independent directors. Both went to voicemail. The shareholder meeting was in 4 hours. It looked like it was over. Maybe he was right. Maybe I was never going to be enough. Then I remembered. My laptop still had local copies. I opened the governance folder. Section 11 was still there. Every word I wrote. And I had one contact who would answer. Marcy, the external auditor. She was scheduled to present financials at today's meeting. I pulled up her number. My hand hovered over the phone. I thought I'd lost. I hadn't. I'd just been playing the wrong game. I opened the PDF. Amended bylaws. Filed with the state. Executed by all directors. May 14th, 2018. Section 11, subsection 3. I read it twice. CEO succession requires A. Minimum 7 years operational experience across a minimum of 3 departments. B. Board vetting via independent third-party assessment. C. Majority vote of independent directors. Connor had 5 years of experience. All in sales. 1 department. No assessment had ever been conducted. No vote had been taken. He failed A. He failed B. And C hadn't even started. I pulled up my email. Typed Marcy's address into the To field. Attached the bylaws PDF. Subject line, governance question for today's meeting. Body, Marcy, please confirm succession protocol on record per section 11. 3. Thank you. I hit send. 10 minutes later, she replied, Noted. I'll need to flag this during my compliance report. Are you alleging a governance breach? I typed back. I'm alleging we follow our own rules. 3 dots appeared, then stopped. Her reply was 1 line. Understood. My father forgot I wrote the fine print. But Marcy's job is to read every line. And she just did. 1 hour before the meeting, my father kicked open my office door. You went to the auditor? Over my head? I stayed seated. I asked a governance question. Marcy called me for clarification, he said. His face was red. She's flagging section 11. He paced. That clause is advisory. I have unilateral authority as founder and chairman. That's not what the bylaws say. He stopped pacing. If you make a scene in that meeting, I will terminate you for cause. Insubordination, you'll get nothing. I didn't answer. He changed tactics, softened his voice. I'll double the buyout, plus a consulting retainer. 5 years guaranteed. He sat on the edge of my desk. Just stay silent during the meeting. Don't embarrass this family. The money was real. The threat was real. I looked at him. Did you read section 11 before you signed it? His jaw tightened. I trusted you to write what I meant. I wrote what the company needed, I said. There's a difference. He stood, pulled out his last card. Connor is your brother. You'll destroy him in public for a title? I didn't answer. He walked to the door, turned back. 30 minutes. Choose wisely. The door slammed. I checked the clock. Meeting started at 3. It was 2:31. The money was real. The threat was real. But so was section 11. I stood up, and I walked to the boardroom. Before I walked in, I pulled one more file. Email chain, May 9th through 12th, 2018. Subject line, Final bylaws for filing. Approved to proceed. Helen had circulated the draft to all directors, including my father. His reply came May 9th. 4:47 p.m. Reply all. Looks tight. Approve. Let's file. The PDF was attached. Section 11 was highlighted in yellow. Helen had left a comment bubble in the margin. This locks in merit-based succession. Confirm okay? My father's second reply, same thread. Perfect. Keeps us clean if we ever go public. He read it. He approved the exact language. He knew what Section 11 said. He just thought I'd never use it. I screenshotted the entire thread, timestamps intact, forwarded it to Marcy. Subject: CEO succession, prior written approval. She replied in under a minute. Received. I saved the thread to my phone. Printed 2 hard copies. Slid them into unmarked folders. Walked into the boardroom. Set 1 copy on the table in front of my seat. The other I gave to Susan, the independent director, former federal compliance officer. She opened it. Read the first page. Looked up at me. Nodded once. He didn't forget. He just thought I'd never use it. 10 minutes before the meeting started, I heard voices in the hallway. My father and Connor. I stood near the door. Connor sounded nervous. What if the board asks about my operations experience? My father's voice was calm, reassuring. They won't. I've promised them continuity. It's handled. Buzz. And your wife's family is investing $12 million in our Series B, but only if you're CEO. It's already committed. My stomach dropped. Connor again, quieter. The term sheet says named successor in place by Q2? Correct. Your father-in-law wired it last week. That's when it clicked. This wasn't about me being unworthy. This wasn't even about Connor's vision. My father needed the $12 million. He'd promised Connor the role to close the funding. The investors wanted a named successor before they'd sign. Connor wasn't ready. But the capital was. And my clause, Section 11, threatened the entire deal. Connor wasn't malicious. He was just in over his head. My father had made a promise he couldn't keep without breaking the bylaws. I walked back to my seat. Opened my folder. The term sheet wasn't my problem. Governance was. Now I knew exactly what to do. Not revenge. Just process. I pulled out my phone. Texted Marcy. Please include Section 11 compliance in your governance report. I'll defer to your professional judgment. Send. Then I opened my email. Composed a message to the 3 independent directors I'd helped recruit. Susan, 2 others. Subject: bylaws question for today's session. Body: flagging Section 11(3) for review. See attached succession criteria and May 2018 approval thread. Requesting independent director executive session if needed. I attached both documents. Hit send. No accusations. No drama, just procedure. Susan replied within 30 seconds. Received. Will review. I printed 2 more copies of Section 11. Slid them into the board folders at the end of the table. Unmarked. My nameplate still said VP Strategy on the temp card in front of my seat. Didn't matter. The bylaws would speak louder than any title. People started filing in. The CFO, corporate secretary, external counsel. Marcy arrived with her binder. She glanced at me. No expression. Professional. My father and Connor walked in last. Dad took his seat at the head of the table. Looked at me. I looked back, calm. The meeting started at 3. By 3:45, everything would change. 12 people around the table. 5 independent directors. My father, Connor, me, the CFO, Marcy, corporate secretary, external counsel. My father opened the meeting. Standard agenda. Financials first. Marcy stood. Presented revenue, margin, cash flow. All clean. Then she flipped to the next section of her binder. Governance and compliance review. She paused. Looked at my father. I've been asked to confirm CEO succession protocol per Section 11, subsection 3 of the amended bylaws. The room went still. She read the clause aloud. CEO succession requires minimum 7 years operational experience across a minimum of 3 departments. Board vetting via independent third-party assessment. Majority vote of independent directors. She looked up. Has the named successor completed the required third-party assessment? Silence. My father leaned forward. That's an internal HR matter. We can handle it post-announcement. Susan cut in. Actually, it's a board fiduciary matter. Her voice was level, firm. Marcy, was the protocol followed? Marcy shook her head. No documentation on file. Susan turned to the external counsel. Is Section 11 legally binding? Counsel nodded. Yes, the bylaws are governing documents. The board must comply or amend through proper vote. Susan looked at my father. I move for an executive session. Independent directors only. My father's face went white. That's unnecessary. Respectfully, it's required, Susan said. She stood. All non-independent directors and officers, please step out. We'll reconvene in 20 minutes. My father and Connor left. I stayed, officer capacity. The independent directors reviewed both documents. The bylaws. The email thread. No one spoke to me. They didn't need to. 20 minutes later, they called everyone back in. Susan read the decision. CEO succession is tabled pending full compliance with Section 11.3. She paused. Interim measure. Current Chief Operating Officer will assume acting CEO duties until assessment is complete. I was the COO. Motion carries. 4-0. My father stared at me. Connor looked relieved. Susan set down her paper. Meeting adjourned. Gavel. Done. He said I'd never be CEO. The board just said otherwise. And he couldn't overrule the rules he signed. The aftermath was quieter than I expected. My father stepped back to board chair. Non-executive. He attended quarterly meetings. Civil. Distant. No apologies. But no more dismissals either. Connor stayed in sales VP. 2 weeks after the meeting, he sent me a text. I didn't want that job. Thanks for not making it personal. I replied. It never was. He's good at sales. Really good. He just wasn't ready to run the company. He knew it. I knew it. Now the board knew it too. The $12 million Series B? It went through. The investors wanted governance cleanup, not drama. After we showed them the independent assessment process, they signed. Turns out they valued stability over speed. I served as acting CEO for 9 months. Then I took the third-party leadership assessment. Scored top quartile. The board voted me in as permanent CEO, 5-0. My father abstained. First thing I did? Implemented transparent succession planning for every executive role. No more backroom promises. No more shortcuts. My father and I don't talk much. He shows up to board meetings. Votes on financials. Leaves. One meeting, about 6 months in, we passed a governance review update. He voted yes. We made eye contact across the table. No words, but something shifted. I moved the nameplate from my old office to my new door. Simple plaque, CEO. Not for ego. For proof. Proof that merit and process matter. I keep Helen's old advice framed on my desk. Draft every word like you'll need it in court. I did, and it saved me. The best revenge isn't public. It's being so prepared they can't rewrite the ending. Now I want to hear from you. Would you have taken the buyout or trusted the clause you wrote? And what's one receipt you kept that saved you? Drop your story in the comments. I read them. If this reminded you to save everything and follow your own rules, hit subscribe. New story every week. One more thing. This story is a fictionalized dramatization for entertainment purposes. Not legal, financial, or professional advice. If you're facing a real situation like this, consult qualified professionals. I'll see you in the next one.